Now, I really, really, really wanted to get to this yesterday, but things got in the way, headaches got in the way, and unfortunately, I had to hold it today. So hopefully, y'all are not sick of this topic and are still interested in what I might have to say about the incredible, incredible comments from the greatest women's basketball head coach in the history of the sport. No one battles, no one goes to war for her star player the way Stephanie White does for Alyssa Thomas. I'm sorry, I meant Caitlin Clark. No, wait. No, it's Alyssa Thomas. So we're going to take a listen because there's so much to talk about with this. By the way, also got something for you to listen to from Kelsey Mitchell that's going to have a whole lot of speculation going on out there. So first, let's take a listen. Now, I want you to keep in mind, listen to the beginning of this. Stephanie White is not asked a question. Okay? She's not asked a question.
Yeah, I know. I got ABs.
Hold on, I'll get it.
Sneakers on today. Before we start, yeah, I know. I got ABs. Sneakers on today. Before we start with questions, I just want to address, what's going on with AT. You know, I
Why? Why? Before questions, are you addressing something that is going on with another team's player? You are not Alyssa Thomas's coach. You are Caitlin Clark's coach, the player who was the recipient of the dirty play from Alyssa Thomas. She was defended, I think, a little too vociferously from her head coach, who, by the way, also went after you and insulted you, Stephanie White. But you are going to take time out to give a speech about Alyssa Thomas. I know I probably should have saved that until after you heard some of it, but she's got me worked up. By the way, did you notice she made that comment there at the beginning? It was kind of low. She was looking down. She's got AB's shoes on. Now, when Caitlin Clark finally debuted after all of these years, her signature shoe, Stephanie White wore her own custom shoe on the sidelines. Just with everything that's going on, another little thing I thought was necessary to point out.
think first and foremost, it's absolutely unacceptable. I think as a league, as a whole, there's been so much more toxicity, racism, homophobia, straight out like nonsense, hate nonsense, and it is absolutely unacceptable.
Can I just say, because this is what annoys me. And by the way, this is for those of you who are, I won't even say Stephanie White supporters, but supporters of what Stephanie White said. Like, you're brain dead, okay? You're completely brainwashed. You spew propaganda. You get in your feelings. You can't debate anything of substance. Here's a piece of advice for you: change. And what I mean by that is, here's what Stephanie White did, right? And this is again why I have no respect for anyone like this. Stephanie White, there was something that happened that she didn't agree with, or at least she believes happened, right? We have no proof from Alyssa Thomas. And her response is, "You're terrible. Here's my list of buzzwords that say you're terrible." Again, no proof or fact. And these are such bad words that it's going to shut you up and make you scared to say anything. No one's scared anymore. I don't care if you list these words and throw them at me. They mean nothing at this point. They literally don't mean anything anymore. Oh no, ism, phobe. Oh my God. What are we going to do? Try something new.
Most of this coming from the online community. Most of this, in my heart of hearts, I believe, not coming from WNBA fans, Indiana Fever fans. I
No, no, right? They're coming from Caitlin Clark fans, not the 27 old guard fans that used to show up for games because there was just a social party, a social gathering, basketball being the excuse, right? And I give those who started the WNBA a whole lot of credit because they were able to get the NBA to fund their social gatherings by saying it's basketball. And what is the online community, by the way? Now, I know she doesn't mean it this way, she doesn't realize it, but what she's basically saying is we're talking about bots. Don't forget, I mean, we're talking about that's the other thing people don't understand of. Like more than half the internet at this point in terms of social media and stuff, and the people commenting on places like X, they're bots. They're bots. They're not You're not actually interacting with human beings. And then of course you do have that subset of people who they might not even believe anything they say. They're just at home laughing because they put some outrageous comment online and then they see the fallout like this. Okay? So the fact that this is even being addressed is absurd. The fact that you're talking as if it only happens with the WNBA, again, go pay attention to other professional leagues. This is nothing new. The difference is they don't focus on it and they don't talk about it because they're not a bunch of whiny. I can do it. Childish, immature, socially stunted activists.
I believe that this is people who are using our league, using our players to further divisive agendas. It's not acceptable. Yes, we have to continue to protect our players. We've got to continue to support our players in our league.
Things that you have absolutely done none of when it comes to your own Caitlin Clark. You have done nothing to support her. You have done nothing to protect her. The player doing this, your player. She did the same thing when she played for you. Again, by the way, Dewana Bonner getting off scot-free for her knee into the back of Caitlin Clark because what Alyssa Thomas did got all the attention. Also, your player.
We get to play a basketball game. And AT was exactly right. Like, we get to play a basketball game.
Not really what she said. I'm sorry, I'm stopping a lot, but I'm trying to address each of these issues. That's not really AT was why are y'all even upset because it's basketball, dismissing her dirty play. Oh, it's not a dirty play. It's just basketball. Why are we even talking about this? She wasn't like, oh, it's so great. This is wonderful. I get to play basketball. It's a completely different thing, Steph.
And yes, that's going to come with criticism. Yes, that's going to come with fans and the love-hate relationship that they have with players and teams. That is going to come. But it's not hard to not be a jerk. And if you are one of these people that are online doing this, do not call yourself a WNBA fan.
Oh my God. Well, if you tell me not to call myself a WNBA fan, then goodness, I guess I'm not a WNBA fan. That level of arrogance and stupidity. You know what it reminds me of? Oh man, I don't want to know if I want to go down this rabbit hole, but what was the show? Ewan McGregor, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, right? That was very divisive, and you had a character in there who was awful. Nobody liked. It was the era of the whole girl boss thing. I don't want to, but and a lot of people did not like the character. It had nothing to do with the actress. They didn't like the character. They didn't like the fact that, Vader put his lightsaber clean through her, and yet somehow she was perfectly fine and so on. And then Ewan McGregor does a video out of his car basically saying the same things. Oh, there's no place for that in Star Wars. If you criticized her, then to me you're not a real Star Wars fan. So it's funny, you're going to sit there and say criticism and all this is part of it, but oh my, if you have a different opinion than Stephanie White, you're not a real fan.
Our league is about inclusiveness. Our league is about competition. Our league is about elevating women, elevating marginalized communities, including and being inclusive of all different walks of life. That is
That is so that is the problem, Stephanie White, and you don't even understand that it's completely opposite of what you just said. You said it's all about basketball, and then you went with a bunch of activist buzzwords: inclusivity, elevating women, diversity, all this absolute nonsense that has nothing to do with the sport of basketball. In fact, it's the complete opposite. Basketball is not inclusive. No sport, when done right, is inclusive. It's exclusive. It's discriminatory in the way of you need to be good enough to play at the highest level of the game. The players who play in the NBA are the best players in the world. NFL, MLB, NHL, MLS, English, like whatever sport and league you're talking about, it's extremely exclusive because it's supposed to be a meritocracy. It is about nothing else. It is not about diversity. It is not about inclusiveness. That is wrong.
What our league has always been about from day one. That is
And that is the problem. I'm sorry, I should have let her finish. That goes to the whole point, and that is why we're even having any of these conversations. The problem is the WNBA has been an activist organization its entire existence, not a professional basketball league. And now, thanks to Caitlin Clark, the league has brought in a whole lot, millions of actual basketball fans, and the WNBA is losing its mind because it has no idea whatsoever how to handle actual sports fans.
what our league will continue to be about. And we will continue to compete at a high level, hold ourselves to a higher standard, continue to be on the forefront of social norms, and we will continue to support one another collectively as a league. Players
Continue on the forefront of social norms. There you go, folks. She is contradicting herself. She is throwing out a lot of these buzz phrases. It cannot be all about basketball, and for you to sit there and say that the fans have to make it all about basketball all the time when you're telling us that it is about activism. You just said it. You want to be on the forefront of social norms. I would really love to dive deeper into what exactly you think that means. Because you're talking about on the forefront. So are you pushing it in a certain direction? Is that what we're saying, Stephanie White? You're pushing it in a certain direction? Because that sure is what it sounds like. Again, this whole speech is coming from the fact that she is defending the player who, in a very, very, very dirty incident, physically assaulted Stephanie White's star player. There is not a single real coach in a real professional league who would take up for and defend the assailant of her star player, or when I said anyone, could be his star player, in the way Stephanie White is doing right now for Alyssa Thomas. She says it's about basketball, and she is proving that the WNBA is simply a propaganda machine. Propaganda machine for the letter mob. That is what this is all about. It is defending the letter mob so that they can continue to do what they have been doing, supported by the NBA for all of these years.
coaches, staff, support staff, everyone. We're about elevating. We are not about demeaning, demanding. We are not about continuing this narrative. And
You absolutely should be about demanding. It goes back to everything I just said. Sports is a meritocracy. It is the best of the best. They demand excellence, period, on the court, in performance. All of the other stuff should have nothing to do with this. Nothing. Everything Stephanie White says is the problem with the WNBA. Stephanie White should be fired. Stephanie White should be banned from the WNBA, and everyone like Stephanie White. And I know I'm going to get to people like, oh my God, what does that mean? He's this, he's that. No, I'm talking about the old's got to go. All of the non-basketball people that think the WNBA is a propaganda machine and an activist league, time to go. It is time to elevate the actual basketball players. And there are more that are coming. I've said this before in other videos, those coming after Caitlin Clark that can change the way the game is played and actually put a good product on the court.
it's just absolutely unacceptable.
You don't coach Phoenix, but she said that she didn't even hear from the league in the process. Do you think that that's a fair way for them to have gone about this at all? That it ended like this?
No, I mean, I think obviously when there's a lack of communication, the void is filled with negativity, right? I think, being able to communicate, being able to be the one who reaches out first is important. So yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I would love, if I was in that situation, I would have wanted to hear from the league. Look, none of us can control social media. The things that we can do to minimize it. Some of us are in better position than others. Myself as a coach, I don't have to get on there. Players, their brands are on there. And so
Players don't have to get on there either, actually, and it's kind of wild. But go back just for a second. I want to finish off with this because I know this is getting a little long. This has already been debunked. Kathy Engelbert reached out to Alyssa Thomas, right? So Alyssa Thomas lied. Annie Costabile reported this incorrectly. Kathy Engelbert reached out to Alyssa Thomas. And again, why would she? That's the other thing. That is, again, the narrative that the WNBA likes to use. It's always victimization. It's always propaganda. This was a play that was upgraded to a flagrant 2. There should be no investigation. There never is. That's not normal. So that whole Phoenix Mercury coach crap is wrong. The commissioner having to reach out to a player who got a foul of what should have been a foul in the game, upgraded to a flagrant 2. Zero reason for the WNBA commissioner or any sports commissioner to reach out to a player for that. Go ask the NFL, right? Especially the NFL. It happens in other sports too, but the NFL gets a lot of things on the court, I think more on the field more than other sports where things get elevated, say, to a fine. Okay, for a play that wasn't even a penalty or something that was a penalty and it gets an additional fine. Those players aren't having conversations with the commissioners. They're getting a fine, they're paying the fine, or they might complain about the fine, and we move on. Completely different than what we're getting in the WNBA. And I think what we really need to be talking about is the constant bombardment, the always marching forward attack, I'm going to use this word, the dehumanization of Caitlin Clark. That is what we were talking about. That is what the WNBA has done. And I don't want to get hyperbolic, but I'm just saying, look to the history. If you're a history buff, as I have turned into be, and that's my father's fault, dehumanization of people is how you get to the next step of very, very, very bad things happening. And the WNBA has done nothing but try to dehumanize Caitlin Clark since she entered the league. Everyone in the WNBA is using Caitlin Clark in some way to push their nasty agenda. They don't want the fans that Caitlin Clark brought in, but they want to use that to push other things. It's disgusting. We know the league used her for the CBA, and now they don't want her around. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. This got a lot longer. I did actually stop a lot more than I planned to. Apologies, but hopefully I added a little something. Hopefully you were here to listen to me talk and react and analyze what Stephanie the Methany White is saying. But yeah, I'm going to leave with this. Truly, truly disgusting. I don't know any coach that would ever do this, what Stephanie White did, using defending Alyssa Thomas. And again, she didn't even get a question. She started out with, "Hey, I want to talk about my actual star player, I almost said my lover, whom I love." Let me put it that way, because I'd much rather would have Alyssa Thomas running my offense than Caitlin Clark. But yeah, anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the drill. I will talk to you later.